Yo, what up? Greetings. Welcome to Sequential Geek. What up? This is Comic Book Haul 69, part 63. Thanks a lot for checking out my channel. Let's get on with this haul, y'all. I'm actually going to start off with this trade paperback. I actually have shown off some summer reads, a bunch of trade paperbacks that I bought a couple times, some trade paperback reviews. So this is one of the trade paperbacks. Finally got around to reading it. There were some other Avengers trade paperbacks, and this is the John Byrne one that I wanted to point out because, in particular, these issues here, Scarlet Witch losing her mind over realizing her kids never really existed. That's just such a cool story. So check this out. So I'm talking about West Coast Avengers issues 51 to 57 in particular. Specifically, referencing West Coast Avengers issue number 52. So issue 52 from 1989. John Byrne is writing and penciling. It was Jerry Ordway, though, that did the inks on Fantastic Four issue 277, which it turns out is no longer like speculation or I guess I was inspired to get back to this storyline. Let's get on with this haul. So this is a trade paperback, and it's got now a connection with Fantastic Four 277, and that issue with Fantastic Four issue 277, I actually wrote a letter to the editor in 1985 when it came out. So Master Pandemonium, he ends up using shards of Mephisto temporarily, essentially, to recuperate his own missing soul that essentially taken by Mephisto. He was left to die in a car accident, lost his arms. Mephisto saved his life, and he now has to go on this search to find these missing shards of his soul. So he is on this quest without realizing that they're actually missing shards of Mephisto's own soul. And he goes on this wild goose chase. This is Agatha Harkness, the original Agatha Harkness. Agatha Harkness right here is saying how the children are not real. They're a manifestation of Wanda's will. She further explains that Wanda's power is great, but not so great that she can create life. So now we're alluding to something more. And she explains how they're actually shards of Mephisto's being that got broken up, pieces that he lost as a result of FF277. There we go, it's official. When Franklin Richards pretty much just annihilates Mephisto in his own realm, in Mephisto's own realm. So he has to trick this movie producer to go on this wild goose chase for Mephisto's recuperation. And it's through this whole process of Mephisto gaining the shards of his soul back that end up leading to Agatha just being like, she has to have her mind wiped because there's no way that she's going to accept it. But she's essentially just like, yeah, this is the way it is. Her kids are not real. And what's done is done. Their essence is back with Mephisto. Just wanted to point that out. Franklin Richards is behind the origin of Vision and Scarlet Witch's children, Wiccan and Speed. All right, next up, finishing off a run, actually, is what I'm doing right here. This is 5 issues from Eclipse. Check it out. Now, the history of Dirty Pair, if I understand correctly, we have this author from Japan, Haruka, Takachiho, and he wrote 8 novels from 1975 until 2007 about Yuri and Kai. They are employees of the World Welfare Works Association, the 3WA, but they're actually known as Dirty Pair because of all the wreckage that they leave behind. Studio Proteus, right here. Studio Proteus acquired the rights to create comic versions of the Dirty Pair in 1989. But leading up to that, from 1985 to 1988, the Dirty Pair had an animated television series. It's pretty kick-ass. So the first 2 series from Eclipse are actually co-written by Torrance Smith and Adam Warren. And Adam Warren does all the illustrations. And then the 3rd and final limited series from Eclipse, the Dirty Pair series, is called A Plague of Angels. It's the one following this, written and drawn by Adam Warren. Torrance Smith is only involved in writing the first 2 Dirty Pair comic book series. So this is called Amerimanga, I believe. Manga that originates from the United States, essentially. So, Dirty Pair, 1989, issue 4 of 5. The first series was 4 issues, and that 3rd series, before it went to Dark Horse from Eclipse here, was also 5 issues. Have you heard of the Book of NuMarvel? That's right. What is up? I know I preach NuMarvel constantly, but I'd have to say, if you look at a channel like E.T. Nick, he's always talking about there's so much out there. So go after what you know and what you like. And that's what I'm about, combine the whole concept of invest in what you know, right? And if you want to consider something an investment, make sure it's something that involves like research to whatever degree. But if you just want to, follow something that's based on an artist, that's based on a particular character, whatever scene, and just consider that expendable, no real investment. And even though I am all about, artists and, the sequential art form being a way to deliver more than just superheroes, right? Documentaries, historical fiction, biographies, adaptations of books, movies. So the great part of it, you can go on about it forever, but also the concept of also like being able to have like some leverage if I ever wanted to sell, get rid of this in 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, whatever. Being aware of certain things that involve more than the investment side of it, research, right? So if you've got a distribution of newsstand comics that are like, 5% around the year 2000, I think it was 2.5% by 2005. 1%, if anything, around 2013, I think, was when Marvel stopped. DC around that time. So I'm not sure about the end, but go for newsstands then. You always hear people say, especially if something, I think it's like 1983 or later, get it in newsstand. So it's just an extra feature. And if you really want to go hardcore, if you really want to be stingy with your money, especially if you're new with comics, go for Mark Jewelers. If you're going to see a newsstand, look inside for the Mark Jewelers. All Mark Jewelers are newsstand. Or go for the Canadian Price comic. Really. If you really want to be stingy about what you spend, think of concepts like that. Don't get something just autographed. If you don't have a certification, get it remarked. Get something a little bit more than a quick sketch of a remark. Get some type of actual drawing, even if you have to pay a little bit. That's even better than a cert to a certain extent, some type of drawing. But back to the invest in what you know. So I'm thinking, okay, I love these types of comics in this era, so I want to invest in what I know, but also what I like. And I love that whole concept of NuMarvel, right? I go door to door, I'm knocking on everybody's door in my neighborhood, and I'm like, have you heard of the Book of NuMarvel? So, just seriously though, here we have this new concept of just decades old IP. So they're modernizing intellectual property That's one of the aspects of NuMarvel, this era that's around 2000 to 2005, give or take a year. This is from April 2004 cover date. The Chitauri battle is in full swing. Ultimates was coming out like every 2 to 3 months. Mark Millar and Brian Hitch, they stayed together. You want to get the first 2 volumes of the Ultimates. They're both 13 issues. Written by Mark Millar, drawn by Brian Hitch. If you're a fan of this channel, you know I've mentioned this often. So we're talking, one of the significant aspects of this NuMarvel era is how movies today, or movies that are about to be made, are based on comics, more and more from this era. The costume designs, the characterizations, the origins are all based heavily on these types of modernizations that occurred in this early 2000s era, modernizing this long-standing IP. So part of which is affected by 9/11. So you've got a lot of people losing the concept of privacy, the concepts of like authority from SHIELD being given this godlike role, policing the United States, to the opposite, to things like class war, and also from one of the dollar comics I got about to show, Black Summer, where you show the group of superheroes that are actually created by the government and the, whatever you want to call it, military industrial complex, attacking the hands that feed them, right? Going after the government. So on that other extreme, though, like when Warren Ellis was writing The Authority, or Mark Millar took over The Authority, or when he went into the Ultimates, now we're talking how these superheroes are being referred to as persons of mass destruction. Now they're not necessarily trying to take over the world by force so much as they're just part of world politics. And yeah, I guess in large aspects they are taking it over by force being associated with the United States military. Like in this Ultimate storyline, there is a subplot where they do go into the Middle East, which is actually pretty interesting because, speaking of which, to get more on that tip real quick, just want to introduce this Captain America #1 Newsstand. Once again, we're talking Newsstand, right? Nice spine, but it's June 2002. John A. Reber is the writer, but shout out to John Cassaday. I met him briefly over at the first Emerald City Comic Con. This is issue #2 from July 2002. This is the 4th volume of Captain America, by the way, that lasted 32 issues. And it's either in the 1st or 2nd issue here where Captain America reveals his identity on television, just telling these terrorists to go after himself, not this town that they ended up attacking in the United States. And then by issue #5, we got October 2002. There's an argument that Captain America has with Nick Fury about the ability to wage long-distance warfare, right? Per comics.org, Captain America stops a terrorist attack on Washington, D.C., then argues with Nick Fury about the technology that allows their leaders to kill the terrorists from afar. Just dig these comics right here, just because they represent some of the greatness of John Cassaday while honoring 9/11. This is just the type of comics that I collect. They're also part of that era, early 2000s, 9/11 tribute comics. Just really beautifully rendered here by John Cassaday. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and kind of honor his work through these comics right here. So it's pretty dope work by John Cassaday. Rest in peace. Legend. Wrapping up this era, Ultimate Spider-Man 33. This is from February 2003. This is a Bagley illustration. Now, like looking at this, it's probably a painting, right? And just looking at some of this, and I remember like some art lessons that I've had growing up, doing colored pencil on black matte board for works like this. It'd be kind of cool if that was colored pencil, maybe touched up digitally, don't know, but it's a dope eel-like version. Eddie Brock as this ultimate version of Venom. First appearance, Eddie Brock, Ultimate Venom, issue 33, February 2003. So to go over real quick these dollar books that I got, you know, Black Summer, I think it was like a 0 issue and then 7 issues, and you just got these super soldiers essentially, and not all of them are nuts. Just this guy right here, I think his name's John Horace, and I haven't read all these. I've read the first issue, the last issue. This is issue 7, and you got this like scientist. He made, I think, like 7. They call them guns. These like superpowered beings that for private industry and alongside with the government, I believe, and yet this one guy, Horace, he ends up just losing it, and he's ultimately considers himself the ultimate hero. He's gonna be judge, jury, executioner on all crimes, and he considers the president a war criminal, and then executes the president, I think, just in the first issue, and he pretty much gets annihilated in this issue. But like one of them's super fast, this woman right here. They're all badass. Now this artwork, a lot of people mistake for Jeff Darrow, I think this guy's name, but this is Juan Jose, how do you pronounce this? Rip? So this artwork is pretty amazing. Another Warren Ellis joint that I just highly recommend. So yeah, this guy's got these eyes that are the source of power, and then these are some of his remaining teammates. I think he had to kill 2 other ones, but they're a little bit more well-grounded, these ones right here. But just great artwork. I love reading about new types of superheroes that are well done, you know, some type of other way of telling a superhero story. It doesn't necessarily have to be this types of extreme storyline, but this was a huge theme that was going on in the early 2000s. Just some type of world encompassing powered up organization of powered people. All right, so pretty dope artwork there. And then check this out, all right? Girl Scouts. Now, you know, at the end of the day, to make a long story short, looking at this artwork, we're talking the artist from 2011's Marijuana Man. Right, Joe Casey wrote Marijuana Man out at Image Comics, and this is Jim Ufford, written and illustrated. Great story. It's really fun. It's kind of zany, just the way that the plot goes, almost like a plot to a video game. This woman, this blue-skinned woman, right? She is trying to save this one other girl, this younger girl that is being kidnapped by Jarhead and his like clan of criminals, like bounty hunters, because she has this kid. She has this essence of the butterfly in her that this other demon wants, and you know, she's got this floating friend here that they were separated for a minute. Now they're together and they're happy again. So you got the action of this guardian that's kind of trying to hunt her down to save her. You know, and she's really badass. But these demons that are talking about how they want this, I don't know, some type of butterfly essence that's in this kid to bring back some demon into our plane of reality. But my downside to this is, I mean, you can overthink it, but I got this in the dollar bin. This is $4. This is kind of like what I'm talking about. The style of this with the crooked lines and the quick drawing and all that, I love it. I like Moffat. I'm digging this, but not for this $4 price point, not for the way the colors are. And it just seems like this type of style allows for a lot of error. Am I being too critical? So it allows for also, you know, when you have all the open space and the not too many colors, you know, simple color palette, then I don't know, what do you, higher page count, higher turnover, to, you know, quicker to create. I don't know, I thought it was fun though, especially how like this guy's kind of evil, but it just kind of looks kind of cute though at the same time. At the end, and then you just have like Turtleneck Jones, and they have these like little zany names that are of these characters that are actually kind of badass, but that contradiction of from the name to the it's definitely cartoony, but for adults. So once again, it's fun. It's a great story. I just like to come into a middle of a storyline. That's why I like the dollar bin. Just grab whatever issue, something that looks interesting, like the cover, and that's what I like. I don't need to start from the first issue of that story arc. I like trying to put stuff together, look up stuff online if I need to, whatever. But stuff like this, though, did I think it was worth $1? Yes, but stuff like this, when it's originally $4 and then you're finding it in the dollar bin, it's a concern with how things are going. I think with the market, who's going to buy a comic on the first Wednesday if they know that it's soon going to be a storyline no one's really familiar with, right? Something that, as fun as it is, there is no more Girl Scout stories. I mean, I guess he has had some other Girl Scout stories, perhaps, I think. So I'm not sure. And I haven't really heard much anybody else talk about it. So, and then two, since there's no long-term relevancy, you're spending $4 on something that's going to end up being $1. So it's kind of rough when it adds up with as many short boxes I've accumulated. 82 short boxes, seven long. That's my total life's deal. So, all right. So, just trying to pass along some advice here, y'all, just to be a little bit choosy about your spending, because now I can give these away. This was just $1. So now it's cool to treat these however I want, eventually get rid of it. And in conclusion, Transmetropolitan, really interesting. This man is a prophet. Warren Ellis. Oh yeah, back to Warren Ellis again. I showed this before from another trade paperback haul, but just wanted to point out this is just dollar comic, and it's the same themes that he keeps carrying over, which is cool. It's keeping it consistent. Artwork is still good. We got Derek Robertson. This is the first trade paperback with Warren Ellis that when they kicked off the series, except he's still doing it then. Awesome. So my point is, just wanted to go over this really quick, let you know about it. We're talking about some punk rock scene here, but when I say he's like ahead of his time, I mean, we're talking about a guy around the year 2000 when this series came out, and this guy is a blogger, right? He's got a vlog and a blog, and he's affecting politics. He's popping pills. He's doing drugs. We're talking about people who are integrated with technology and using, press releases and the internet to affect how people are living their life. Just that, and on top of you've got these people called transients, right? And they're modifying their bodies with DNA that they really don't show the aliens, the actual Greys, so much as they're showing how the Greys, the consequences of these Greys selling their DNA to the black market on Earth. And these people are integrating parts of these aliens into their body. So we're talking a lot of people putting acid and self-mutilation. I think there's a lot of themes today with that we've been hearing in one way or another in the news, especially these transients in the first story arc. They actually cordon off a section of the city for themselves, a no police zone, right? And he's going into the no police zone to do a story. He's a journalist, and he's actually trying to practice journalism. But then you got these people, these transients, that are trying to get asylum because they don't consider themselves human. So they're trying to have the same type of asylum an actual Grey would have from another world, if I'm remembering that correctly. But it's just all these themes that are in this story from 25, 24 years ago that you have heard in the news in the past few years. Isn't that supposed to be Alan Moore? Is that right? Alan Moore is depicted as Jerusalem? Spider Jerusalem is our protagonist's name here, who has been illustrated by the artist this guy. Looks like Alan Moore, right? The artist, I think he depicted himself here as the agent of this journalist, the hero of our story here, who I believe is depicted as Alan Moore. The story is by Warren Ellis. So we've got all these themes going on in this story that's from 25 years ago that we've got going on today. Yeah, so this is the issue that I got, issue 56 from the dollar bin. This is 2022, 2002, 2008. Time to skate. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep on reading comics. Keep on collecting. Much love. Till next time. Peace.